Hey guys, welcome back. Fluffy Koala here, and we're gonna get started here shortly. But I just want to thank you to whoever watched the previous video, and we're gonna get back to it and just review some things from the last video. I'm doing it this way so that I can become a better programmer and I can memorize this information and it can last longer in my brain. So, without further ado, let's get into this. So please ignore any the stuff below real quick here in this highlighted section. But what we did last video, we talked about what variables were and how to name them. So like we understand that we could start a variable name to with the underscore and then letters and numbers, um, numbers and letters, right? But we cannot start it off with a number or uh, some type of special characteristics. They don't work. Um, they'll come back with an error. So let's just say we did name, right? And then we know that with a string, you need quotations, single or double, either one. And we go, oh, voila. Boom, there's the first variable, right? We filled it out, and then we also talked about comments. Like you can see all of these are all comments. They don't get read by the compiler, the IDE, to push it out when you do what we call the print statement, which is a function built into Python and some other programming languages. They use different syntaxes, but for Python, we're going to do print parenthesis, open and close, and then quotations, open and close. So we don't have to always have the quotations. The only reason why we do that is when we're on a put together a string to display to the user. So the what my name is space, and this is what we call concatenation, I believe, if I remember correctly, which you're adding to the sentence. Is almost like arithmetic at this point here, and then you put the variable name that stores my name, Fluffy Koala, and then you can run it. So let's run that, and you'll see my name is name Fluffy Koala. So that's cool, right? So So we got the print function we talked about, the comments, and let's bring this is my name. So let's make it more pronounced, a variable with my name, right? So that's a comment. It does not get read by the IDE or the compiler when it's compiled to produce and spit out the information. And when we talk about the order for most compilers is just the way you read the information. It's top to bottom, left to right, like you're reading a book, and that's how it works, right? Cool. That's basically everything that we talked about last video. But we're gonna talk about some few other basic information, and we're gonna do the new stuff, which is see, I've said new stuff, which would be errors, some numbers, and basic arithmetic. Um, See, I pre-put this in here just to make it easier for us. And we're going to have some fun here. So we're going to say, so constant error, common error, 1 and 2, which is a syntax error, means there is something wrong with the way your program is written, punctuations that do not belong, a command where it is not expected, or a missing parenthesis. that can trigger a syntax error, right? And then we have naming error, convention errors. Occurs when the Python interpreter sees a word it does not recognize. I tried to do a new line there, but let's just do that. Code that contains something that looks like a variable but was never defined correctly. And when they mean defined correctly, as we said, is like you got the variable name and this is a string. So, right, we got the quotations. What if you miss the quotations? Then you're not, that's a syntax error, but also the defining it incorrectly, right? So that example was, let's just do it simple. A equals, right, uh, blah, right? If we try to print blah out, see, and then they got this caret here that signifies potentially what's happening here. It points to quotation, right? Not every error is going to be great at doing things. And then what we have here, we had name blah is not defined, right? So what does that mean? Okay, so we read it. Dun, 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 blah. A was blah. So what's happening here? Let's figure this out. So we're saying blah, but the variable name for blah is A. So we go and print A, which now you see blah. So there you go. That's why we do this. We learn and we get better at this. And the same thing. So if we said, so here, when error 1, let's just do, and of course, remember the concat, we can add, just do const error 1. Boom. There we go. So now we're making variables, storing the strings. But what if we're going into numbers? What do we do with numbers? So if we do, let's do another variable name num, and it could be anything. The difference is with numbers, and there it comes in two types. There's integers, which is just whole numbers like 500, simple, no decimal points. And then there's floats, or I can't use float because I think it's a reserved word. So let's do double, which is another term in some other languages for floating number, which are considered any number that has a decimal integer behind it. So now you got two different integers or numbers, right? And what does that do? Like, what can you do with that, right? We could do simple arithmetic. Of course, you got your adding, subtracting, dividing, and multiplying, right? Let's just talk about that. So we could go and say, let's just remove that. Let's just say we could print, when I'm doing capitals, print num, right? And let's say double. Don't know if I did that correctly, but there we go. So this gives a space that comma allowed it to do a space in between both of them, right? And that shows both num and double. Well, what is that? Well, let's do some math. We could do plus, and then, oh, and let's see what that does. 89.26, right? 5 plus 4 is 9, right? But that's not the only way we can do the math, right? And you could do that with the subtraction and dividing and the multiplying. But what if you want to make it more streamlined? So we can do, let's do total. And let's just do something like that. Makes it easier. And we could change this to, let's do 100, right? So we could do total is another variable, right, that we're naming to store a number or string. But we're going to do numbers for this one. And then you want num, let's just do times double, right? Instead of using the number itself, you can use the variable and call that here. So that's a pretty decent number, right? 100, times 84.5, 8,450. So that's some things that we can do with the variables and numbers and some arithmetic attached to it. We'll go deeper into this. I'm learning as you're learning, if you're learning. I hope to learn more from y'all because I'm positive there's more experienced people than me in here or around the world. Um, I found it troublesome when I was searching through YouTube while doing my schoolwork to find really good videos on a lot of different things uh, in English. I would say English, but individuals that didn't have a deep accent that I could understand them. So I'm just trying to do this so I can share what I know, what I try to keep teaching myself and keep prevalent in my mind from my schoolwork. And I hope you enjoy it. Appreciate your time. And I don't know the next time I'm going to do a post, but I'll do it the same way. I'll review first, talk about some stuff, and then we'll go into some new things. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Signing out. Peace.